new watch, new babe.
So what's good, TMG fam? Listen, bro, you can't trust nobody. And I'm pretty sure you already know that, bro. But we living in a day of times, man, where you can't even trust your own grandmoms. Like, you can't trust those. Like, you gotta be so, like, strict, for lack of a better word, with your trust these days that it's insane. And it's at an all-time high, man, because you know nobody's intentions these days, right? This video, girl sets her boyfriend up and gets him out of here. Like, when are you most vulnerable, fellas? Around a woman who you think is feeling you, a woman who you think is your girl, a woman who thinks you likes you. Your guard is down. That's why when most people rob people or something, they send a girl in first. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's sad, but it's true. You gotta be skeptical of everybody, especially a sure thing. Anything that's a sure thing is not a sure thing, bro. So always be skeptical of that, right? So we're gonna check out this story, man. Shout outs to Destiny. They always come through with the dope stories, bro. Let's check them out.
On January 3rd, 4 p.m. local time, police were called following reports of an attack that happened in a town called Reading, Berkshire, and this is in England. But unfortunately though, the boy that the emergency calls were made for passed away at the scene while trying to fight for his life, and he died by a knife wound made to the back of his neck by the sword that you guys are seeing right here on your screens. I mean, it's a really sad situation, and this kid was unfortunately the victim of the narcissism and selfishness of the people around him. So in today's video, I'm going to be going into the details of what happened to him, why it happened, and the aftermath that took place. Oliver, or Ollie for short, as his friends and family called him, is a 13-year-old boy who went to a local school named Highdown in his town of Reading, England. According to his parents though, Ollie was diagnosed with autism and was suspected to have something called pathological demand avoidance. This means that not only did Ollie have trouble communicating and behaving normally, but he also had a tendency to go against what he was told to do. And it may seem like I'm trying to put this kid in a bad light to some of you, but nah, that's not what I'm trying to do at all. I just wanted to shed some light on the difficulties that this kid was already going through before his life was unfortunately stripped away from him. And the most painful part about this whole situation is that Ollie didn't even die on the spot when he was stabbed. After the incident, he was fighting for his life, trying to make his way back home from the park of which he was stabbed at. And the witnesses who saw this kid, this random kid, stumbling and stabbed with blood covered all over him, tried to revive him and did what they could do to keep Ollie alive until the paramedics could arrive. But sadly, it was a failed attempt. However, as of now, what we know from officials is that his murder was conspired by a group of teenagers. A girl and a boy aged 13 and another boy aged 14. All of them have been charged with conspiracy to commit grievous bodily harm. And since then, they have been held in a youth detention custody center.
I've never heard of that before. A conspiracy to commit grievous bodily harm. Are they coming up with new terms to give people so they can get off? Like, get off sooner because they're, younger? Or, like, what's I thought it was conspiracy to commit murder. That's that. And maybe that's my own negligence for not knowing the law or be up on the terms of the law, like quote unquote people think you should be. But this one is a first for me. And it says it's a term used in English criminal law to describe the severest form of battery. I thought he was murdered. So wouldn't that be, and I could be dumb. So I don't know. Y'all gonna have to bring me up to speed on this one.
Grievous bodily harm. And since then, they have been held in a youth detention custody center, and the date set for their trial is the 21st of June. And it was said that the trial itself would last anywhere from between 5 to 6 weeks, so it's going to be pretty drawn out. And during the hearing of their case, they were told that their crime was so heinous that if they were adults, they could have easily landed 14 years in prison without a trial. In addition to those charges,
and I get it. And this is where I go back and forth with myself, bro. Because they are children, they are teens. Should they get a second chance on life? You know what I'm saying? And we do all make mistakes. So that's where I'm conflicted. And then on the other hand, you have the parents of the son who no longer is here. You know what I'm saying? Like, they no longer get to speak to, see their child again. So while we're thinking of being, you need a punishment, but also you're young and leniency, but this parent over here, they want justice. You know what I'm saying? They want justice for their child, for them having to bury their child. So that's tough, man. The judge on that case, he got a tough job ahead of him, bro. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of people will be like, yo, L, what would you do? Well, if I'm that parent, I'm prosecuting you to the full extent of the law. Because I know how much my children mean to me. And I probably, in that state of mind, at that current moment, I'm not going to want to hear nothing. Nobody can even calm me down or tell me nothing.
13-year-old girl was also charged for perversion of the course of justice. In other words, she was found to not only delete information from her phone that linked her to the murder, but also told her accomplices to do so as well. Oliver's family described this ordeal as every parent's worst nightmare, and they extended a message of gratitude to everyone in the situation who tried to help in any way that they could, including an off-duty doctor who actually tried to save him when he found Oliver fighting his way home. I mean, this is brutal. Like, in his last dying seconds, this kid could think of nothing else but making his way back home to his parents, his mom, his dad, and his siblings. But as I said earlier in the video, Oliver studied in a school near his home called Highdown School, which was where people were laying flowers to pay him tribute. And to help Oliver's family with expenses such as funeral costs, especially during this crippling pandemic, his friends have set up a crowdfunding campaign with a goal of about £21,000 and is soon to be reaching that target. And actually, at the time of this recording, the goal has been met of £21,960. So it's good to know that Oliver's family and, close ones are getting the financial help that they desperately need. And it's absolutely tragic that a murder happened in a park where, people are supposed to be having fun at, family gatherings, picnics. You go there to walk your dog, hang out with your friends, or play catch, football, whatever the case may be. But now every time people go to that park, they'll be reminded of the heinous murder of a 13-year-old kid that took place there. And let's not forget that Ollie was diagnosed with autism, which means that he already had trouble communicating and navigating the world of being a teenager. And
let that age keep echoing in the back of your mind and in the front. 13. Some of you right now have 13-year-olds or kids around that age, a year or two removed, or, getting ready to come up on that age, bro. Can you imagine?
Being 13 years old, he had his whole life ahead of him, but unfortunately it was tragically cut short. The loss of Oliver Stevens has left a void in his family and in their own description, an Ollie-sized hole has been left in our hearts. His older sister Amelia, who was 16 at the time, put out a statement on her social media apologizing to him, saying, "I'm sorry I failed you. I wish I could have saved you from it all." And she ends it with a promise to pursue those who committed the crime. Quote, "We will get justice for you, my angel." Honestly, this is brutal. Now let's talk about the suspects in this case. And to start off, this is the information that I found on the internet, and not all of it is 100% verifiable, but they were constantly being circulated by people on different social media platforms. So take some of it with a grain of salt. First off is the 13-year-old girl named Skylar. She was apparently the girlfriend of Oliver Stevens, from what's been gathered on the internet. I saw this on Twitter the first day it took place. So here's how the story goes based on what I've heard. Ollie yelled at Skylar at a party for sending revealing pictures, which are nudes, of herself to other people. And he was mad at her for, basically cheating. digitally. And Skylar, being the obviously narcissistic, entitled girl that she is, she didn't take that well and proceeded to put up a modern day bounty hunt on her boyfriend through Snapchat. I know it sounds weird, but apparently this is exactly what happened. But this is what she posted to Snapchat. She said, "My boyfriend has been pissing me off lately, and yesterday he shouted at me for sending nudes to someone else. So I want to set him up to get robbed or stabbed, but not killed. So just stab him in the hand or something to teach him a lesson. I will bring him to the destination for you to do it. Stab me if you want to do it."
What? This is a different generation here, bro. You posted that. First of all, you were wrong for even having that, you know what I mean, in your brain. That, like, having your brain even compute that up. Okay, that's first. Then you took it to Snapchat and made it real. Oh, this is going to be shown all in court. This right here, Exhibit A. I'm going right to the judge. Grab the paper. Put it up. Exhibit A. Y'all see this? I mean, all I gotta say, walk in the courtroom and say is Exhibit A, show that, sit down, and do one of these numbers. Like, oh, talk about starting an open and shut case.
Need it done this week. And of course, at the very top, you can see her price of what she was willing to pay out is $154 or pounds and 94p. So yeah, she posted what essentially is a bounty hunt on Snapchat with a price tag of what, 154 pounds, which translates to what, like $175, which I doubt a 13-year-old has. And on top of that, she said she would lure him to the destination for him to get robbed or, stabbed. However, upon my little bit of research I did, I found out that Skylar has a TikTok page that has quite a large following of about 25,000 followers, which is pretty impressive for a 13-year-old. But I mean, in this day and age, any girl, regardless of her age, seems to be pretty popular online. So that's not a surprise. But since the incident, it has been set to private. And since then, there has been a disgusting amount of copycat accounts out there trying to profit off of her crime. I guess they're trying to, steal the spotlight, the limelight, or the popularity of anybody who's trying to find her real account. And anytime something like this happens where someone kills someone else or someone commits a horrific crime, there are always copycat accounts out there. I just find it weird. It's bizarre, but if you try to contact any of these fake profiles, they're mostly filled with trolls. You'll actually get some responses from them, pretending to be Skylar, of course. Like this one that says, "I told you guys to rob him, not M him." And M in this context referring to murder. I guess it's like a rush of dopamine to the brain for these people, who get to be in the spotlight for something that has nothing to do with them. However, upon the publication of this incident to the public, there was obviously a lot of outrage. And based on my research, people got a hold of her Snapchat username, her private phone number, her address. I actually saw a picture of her docs. I found that. I don't know if it's illegal to download or screenshot a docs, but I did for research purposes. However, I obviously won't be sharing it in this video for legal reasons. And let me make...
I don't care if you did. I was going to cut it out, bro. I was not finna be associated with that. I would have cut it out the video.
It's clear. I'm not condoning violence or any threats to a 13-year-old girl, even though she is an accomplice to a murder. But I do understand why people feel this way. Because if that were my brother, and this 13-year-old girl was the direct cause of his death, I don't think I would take her age into consideration for what I might do to her if given the chance. I know it sounds...
See, that's what I was saying earlier, bro. You're not convicted. You're conflicted with those emotions. You know what I'm saying? But his family is not conflicted. They want him prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. You heard the sister saying, "We will get justice for you, my angel." You know what I'm saying? Talk about premeditated. And all y'all can say, "Oh, she really didn't mean it. She was just playing, da 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 da." But when you put stuff out there in the atmosphere like that, and then something like this happens, see, that's what you got to think about. it could possibly happen, and who's the first person they coming to?
Up, but the situation is brutal. It's tragic. But now let's move on to the guy who actually did the crime. According to what I found, the boy who stabbed Oliver Stevens in the neck and left him for dead has not officially been named by law enforcement. But there have been pictures circulating on the internet where the people who posted them claim that this is him. In the pictures that I found of this kid, you can clearly see that he has dirty blonde hair. He often wears a lot of black. He's throwing up gang signs. They look to be gang signs, I think. In another
I hope that's him. That would suck if it didn't, bro. That would suck for him. You know what I mean? To be labeled this dude and you have no idea what's going on. People just, the internet did their research. You know how it is, man. The internet turns into investigators, and Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, they'll figure out who the culprit is. They'll try to figure it out before the police. So
picture, this kid is posed up with I believe that's a hand sign for guns, as if he's holding one. He has a little chain around his neck. Pants are hanging off his hip, I don't know if he knows how to actually wear a belt. Clearly not. In another image, he's wearing all black, so clearly that's his color. I don't know what the hell. And maybe that's just a part of his image. But in this image, this is the most important one that I found, you can clearly see him posed up on an electric scooter, right? His face totally covered up. And in his hand is what appears to be a katana or some kind of sword. And I believe this kind of stuff is illegal in the UK. Like, you can't have knives or knives this large in your possession, especially at 13 years old. However, based on the clues that I've gathered, I believe that this is the murder weapon. This is the knife that the murderer, which is this kid, used to kill Oliver Stevens. And here's another view of the katana or the sword. You can see it's pretty long, and I don't know how a 13-year-old kid gets a hold of a weapon of this caliber, but hey, clearly this kid is hanging around these streets. I'm getting the vibe that this guy, he's probably influenced by a lot of violent pop music in today's day and age. We already know there's a lot of drill music out there, street music that glamorizes violence and murder, and a lot of young boys are influenced by.
I have mixed feelings about that, because everybody always wants to run to that. It's the music, it's different things. Okay, if we stop the music, we got to turn around and stop the movies. Movies portray just as much violence as the music. So we need to stop production on movies, violent movies, action movies. We got to stop that. Like, that's an argument that'll probably go on forever.
By this stuff, so I'm pretty sure that this kid is one of them. However, like I said, I haven't been able to officially find verifiable info to indicate that this is the actual person who took Oliver's life. But I think it's pretty obvious at this point, because some things you don't need law enforcement to come out and tell you. Like, it's pretty obvious.
Hey, listen, you dumb oldie, well, I'll kill you, fam. I'll f***ing end you. Watch, if you're on badness, yeah? If you're on bad, hey, listen, I'm coming outside your school tomorrow. Be there, have your shank, and we'll see where I go.
And also, I found an interesting Reddit thread discussing.
All those videos gonna be used against him, bro. You know what I'm saying? Think about some of the stuff you be saying when you record yourself. Because he could be like, oh, man, I was just playing. I never really meant it. It don't look like it now when you're facing murder for an actual murder. Now all of that stuff comes into play.
Oliver's murder. And people in that thread were speculating that at most she would get either a year in prison or some kind of light tap on the wrist due to her age. And this speculation comes from the fact that she's a 13-year-old and she's a girl and she comes from a wealthy family. However, based on what I could see, this post has now been removed by Reddit moderators. I suppose they don't want people talking about the case on their website. But I just want to know something. Like, realistically speaking, if things were to go as planned, right? According to Skylar, what she created some blueprint in her head to execute this plan to teach her boyfriend a lesson. If he had survived, what did she think was gonna happen? Like, she would lure Ollie to the park, get stabbed in the hand as she suggested, then what? Would the killer tell Ollie, hey, this is from Skylar, about the time you yelled at her at that party because you sent nudes to some other guy? Like, I can't imagine an outcome that would make Ollie think, you know what? My girlfriend Skylar's right. Okay, Skylar, I'm sorry for yelling at you for sending nudes to other guys. Can you ever forgive me? Like, what did she think that was actually going to happen? Like, that just goes to show you how immature and stupid this 13-year-old girl is. And now, as far as what the law enforcement in Reading, England have done to the suspects in this case, they've all been detained under youth detention custody, and their trial is to be set on the 21st of June, like I said before. And as for the late Oliver Stevens, a petition has been set up on change.org, and this petition is aiming for 50,000 signatures, and it calls for a ban on lethal weapons without a license, or all lethal weapons owned under the age of 21. And as much as I would like to think that our late Ollie is the last victim of such a brutal attack and loss of his life, we all know that that won't be true. The best thing we can do to prevent this sort of thing from happening again is to educate the younger generation. Help them realize that even though movies and pop music may glamorize killing and, violence in general, since we all know that a lot of young boys are influenced by this kind of stuff, they should be educated on the fact that it's all an expression of art and should not be taken as real life situations. But yeah, that's pretty much it for our discussion on the murder of Oliver Stevens. Let me know what you think down below about this whole incident. I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support me, the channel, and the videos that I produce for you.
Yeah, bro, that's sad. It's tragic. Prayers and condolences to the family, friends, everybody who loved Oliver and knew him. Prayers to them, man. This is rough, bro. And to think of him, like, struggling to try to get back home after they did that to him, fighting, trying to get back, man. It's something that's going to be embedded, ingrained in his family's mind, like, forever when they think about him, man. Just to think of him just fighting, hoping that somebody could save him. It's tough, bro. It's tough. Like I said, and that scale is leaning more so is leaning towards the family, man. Whatever they want, and if they want to pursue to the fullest extent, and can you blame them? No matter how young they are, can you blame them? Man, this is a tough one, man. Y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Stick around and stay tuned to the next reaction of my piece. Y'all stay solid. Hey.